Hey guys, welcome back. We are here fresh recording I say we like they're like I have a team of people around me. It's me, guys. I am the team. I am the planner, the writer, the editor, the music maker. We'll get to that in a minute. Um yeah, it's me. So me, myself, and I are back finally recording again after a bit of a hiatus. Um, it's been over a year since I recorded an episode on this podcast. And today, with, kind of coming back and beginning the conversation again, today's going to be a very real, honest, uh, raw conversation because that's the direction that we are taking this podcast. We are, if you listen to some of the old episodes, I had a lot of guests on. That's the direction I had gone. And I'll still be having some guests from time to time, but I think what started right before I kind of took a break, I was feeling the need the pressure to perform, which is interesting, which kind of brings me to the new name of this podcast. It used to be Who the Hell Am I? Identity and Wellbeing Podcast. We're keeping the Who the Hell Am I because I think that's a question we can continue to ask ourselves every fucking day, right? Because we evolve. We evolve. Our direction in life evolves. Just everything continues to evolve if we let it. And that's the beauty of life and humanity. And so the new name of the podcast is Who the Hell Am I? Beneath the Performance. If Does that sound scary for you? Does that feel scary for you? Because it does for me. It feels scary, but also feels beautiful and real. And if we need anything right now in this life, it is realness and authenticity. And so as I bring this podcast back, it is with a fresh outlook on my personal authenticity. I think my a fresh reconnection beneath the performance. So it was a little over a year ago that I was recording the podcast, and I was having guests on, and I was doing series and having themes, and it was all good, but I felt myself getting burnt out with that. And so I stopped, and I feel really bad, and maybe some of the guests that I had will hear this and understand and relate. I felt bad because I had actually recorded at least two episodes where I had some great guests on. And here's what my process looked like. I would record and then I would edit, and my team, me, I would edit and kind of condense the episodes if they had gone long, or and add in the music and all of that. And that's a lot of work. And then I'd pull clips for social media and edit those and all the things, add the captions and all of that. Anyways, so it was a lot of work, and I was finding that the recording of it was not the hard part, the draining part. The recording of it was the fun part. I wanted to show up for the conversations. I wanted to have these amazing guests on and talk and gain insights and share those. I am here for the big, deep conversations. I love that. That fuels me, that inspires me, and that lifts me up. And I learn all the time from good conversations with people. And so what I discovered is that I want the conversations, but it was the after piece. It was the editing and the perfecting of it, if you will. And I know that's like important. And one day, when we is actually a team, one day I will have a team, an editing team, where I get to just show up and have the conversation and then pass that off and say, make it pretty. But I don't have that right now. And so I found that the last few episodes that I recorded previously, I didn't have it in me. My bandwidth was not there to then edit and produce those episodes. So they're sitting in my space. They're sitting in my collection. And I will get to them. But it's almost like there's a block for me. And so I'm being aware of that. And anyway, so I took an unintentional pause from the podcast because I was like, I can't just keep having these conversations with people and not finishing the job. But it also was a chance for me to look at, okay, why does this feel hard? And am I trying to produce something that fits my definition of perfect? Perfectionism is real. And I struggle with it, like I know many of us do. And so I took a step back, and I knew I wanted to bring the podcast back, but I knew that there needed to be, I didn't want it to feel so hard and so forced. I just wanted to talk. And if I had a guest on, I just wanted to have a conversation. And I didn't want it to feel like it was overly polished and perfected, because much of the work and my business in general has shifted in the past 6 to 8 months, I would say. And it's shifted from health coaching and wellness retreats to wellness outside of performance. What is wellness when we let go of the image that we have been taught that wellness is supposed to look like, whatever that is for each of us? What is wellness? What is truly a wellness lifestyle when we get behind the performance that wellness often is? When we get behind the trend words or the fad diets or the latest apps that track this and that. And I'm not bashing any of that. There's tools, right? There's tools that we can utilize that they're great. I'm not knocking those or the use of them. I utilize them myself. But if we think that that is what wellness is, if we think that it's those apps or the fancy gym or the fancy diet or all the wellness, the trendy wellness words, if we think that that's wellness, we are sorely mistaken. And so my work has shifted to helping people, especially high-performing women, who feel like wellness is just another set of boxes to check off, helping them redefine that. What does wellness look and feel like in your life? What works for you? What does, when wellness starts to feel like work, then that's where we need to pause and we need to reassess. Why does it feel like work? Why is it feeling like another set of boxes that we have to check off when our schedule is already really full? And so I help high performing women take wellness from that, from a checkbox, and integrate it, make it a lifestyle. And so there's certainly a theme here. So why do I do this? It's been my own journey. That's always the case, right? We do what we do, most of us, because we've had our own journey with it. And going back to the podcast, it was like, I don't want to bring this back until I can do it without the performance, without all the editing and the things that make it feel hard. Why do I feel like I need to edit it? Why do I feel like there's parts of that conversation I got to cut out? Well, sure, it's one thing if, you got to make it a little shorter or break it up into 2 episodes or whatever. But that wasn't so much of what I was doing. I was feeling like I had to perfect myself. And perfection, the performance, is what starts to feel draining. If we actually get to the raw, honest truth of it, in so many aspects of our lives, it's not the task that feels draining. It's the performance part, that feeling like I have to fit an image, whether that's in my career, in my relationship, in my social life, in my finances, whatever that is. If I feel like I have to fit an image, that's going to feel like work, and it's not going to be sustainable. It's going to work for a minute. It's going to last for a minute, but it's not going to last for an extended period of time because it's not real. It's not our truth. It's not who we are. And so when I started, kind of wrapping my head around this podcast and bringing it back, I knew that I wanted to sometimes have guests on, but I also wanted to not be so afraid to talk myself. I wanted to get past the mindset that I don't have anything to say. I've got a lot to say, first of all, but it wasn't so much a fear of having anything to say. It was, how is it going to come out? And are people going to resonate with it? Well, you know what? Maybe hundreds of people will listen to this. Maybe 0 people will listen to this. But I can tell you, what feels good is the honesty in which I'm showing up, the transparency behind just hopping on camera and pressing record. Even this morning, I was sitting on the patio and I was like, I think I'm going to record today. I think I'm ready to do an episode. And so I immediately sat down and opened a Google Doc and started to make notes. What do I want to talk about? Because that's how I used to do it. I used to kind of make notes and yada yada. And I was like, wait, why do you feel like you have to plan this conversation? You know what you want to say. Trust yourself and just press record. And so I sat down here at my desk, and you know how weird it felt to just press record and start talking? No script, no notes, no one on the other side of the screen that I can engage with. Just me and my voice and my thoughts. And then the thought of putting it out there so other people can hear it and judge it. Oof, right? Because that's how it feels. I'm going to put this out there. People are going to listen and then they're going to form an opinion of me. And that's really big and scary. And so it's been a lot. It's been process. And this is me in my process. First of all, this is me in my process getting beneath the performance of podcasting and feeling okay with that. Feeling a little vulnerable, a little, but also a little free, liberated. So that's the direction that this new revamped podcast is going. It is just another way of getting behind the performance of life and having the real conversations that are sometimes uncensored. They're sometimes, not everyone's going to agree with them. But if I can't be honest and real and me on my own podcast, then why the hell am I even recording? Like, if I have to censor it and edit it and make it pretty, I'm not here for that, first of all. So it feels good to be here in my space, just being real. And part of that has been, it was interesting. A few weeks ago, as I was thinking more about how I was going to bring this show back, I started looking for music. I was like, what do I want the music to be? My intro music, the ending music, yada, yada. And I started playing around with, different sounds, and things were nice. But I wasn't really finding what I wanted. And then I don't even know what prompted this thought, but out of nowhere, I had this idea. I was like, what if I write a song? And what if I sing that song? What if I perform that song? And I use that on my podcast. So there's a little bit of a backstory to this. So let me jump back, because it's not like this just came out of absolutely nowhere. The idea for the podcast was out of nowhere. But when I was a teenager, I used to write songs all the time. I come from a very musical family. Let me preface this by saying I am not the musical geniuses that my family members are. My dad's side of the family, both my grandparents on my dad's side are amazing musicians and they're music educators and composers, and that's what they studied. That's where their talent lies. My grandmother and my grandfather used to play piano duets together. That's what I grew up around, was so much music in my life. And my grandfather is one of those people that could play any instrument that he put his hands on. And so I grew up, it was like in church on Sunday, what instrument is Grandpa going to walk in with? Was he going to play the piano? Was he going to maybe be playing the accordion? Was he going to be playing the tuba? Like, you would just, anyways. So our family dinners, growing up, were always very musical. All my dad, my uncles, my aunt, everyone brought instruments, usually multiple instruments. There was always multiple guitars, but then there were um, uh, mandolins. My aunt would play the mandolin. My uncle would play a violin that he had built himself, actually. He would play the violin. My dad would play sometimes the guitar, sometimes the banjo. Now my dad builds ukuleles and he plays ukuleles. He's a craftsman. So my family was very crafty, first of all, um, and very musically talented. Um, and so as a girl, I loved to sing. And I learned enough piano that I could write songs enough that I could then sing them for, I had a friend who played the piano, and I would sing them for her, and she would play them beautifully. And at the time, because I grew up in a religious setting. The songs that I wrote as a teenager were worship songs because that's what I knew. That was the extent of my musical exposure, really. And then as I got older and I left that religious setting, I I began to kind of untangle myself from religion as a whole and the programming that had come with that. I kind of quietly, it wasn't a conscious thing, but I just kind of quietly left songwriting behind. And I think that I've realized recently, and when I say recently, I literally mean in the last 3 weeks, um, I've realized that there was a part of me that associated my creativity in the area of songwriting with religion and to that version of me. And I think that when I kind of walked away from religion, I walked away from that part of my expression, my creative expression. Fast forward to this point in my life where I have a lot going on in my life personally, and I won't get into the details of everything because for time, but I have a sister who's dealing with health issues, big health issues. I have, a partner, and we have relationship issues. Surprise, right? He's a very loving man, and we have a very loving relationship. And within that very loving relationship, we have struggles too. Um, and I have a daughter, and I have work, and I have friends and life and things that require me to go to therapy. So for, I guess, the last couple months, I've been back in therapy for the first time since 2020. And since I've been back in therapy, she's been challenging me to identify what beliefs I am still holding on to that aren't my own. So we've been doing a lot of work around that. And it's interesting that as I've been exploring that work with her, songwriting has come back to me. And at first it was like, I got that thought, like, what if I write a song for my podcast? And it was like, no, nobody knows that side of you. You've let that go. And it was like, but it's like it was coming back and I was pushing it away and it would try to come back. And I was like, no, like that was a former life. You're done with that. And it was like, but wait, why? You like to write, you love to write blogs and magazine articles, and you love to express. You're very artistic, you're very creative. Why are you pushing this away? And that's when I realized I was associating that piece of my creativity with religion. And so I very gently and cautiously opened the door a little bit, invited it in. Okay, we can explore this. What would that song, if I was to write a song for my podcast, what would it look like? What would it sound like? And so I started playing with lyrics and who the hell am I? Of course. I mean, that's the podcast. And I wrote just a very short collection of lyrics. And then I was like, well, how do I produce this? How do I get music to this? I don't have my piano playing friend anymore. And thankfully, in this AI era that we're living in, there are music AI platforms, and you can use them I'm new to them, literally three weeks new to them. You can use them in different ways, but I really I wanted it to be my lyrics and I wanted it to be my voice. And so the app that I eventually landed on and stuck with allowed me to sing into it. And that's what I wanted. So I could type in my lyrics and I could sing those lyrics in and then have AI create the music behind it, produce the music. And so that's what I did. So I wrote these lyrics and then I sang them into the AI platform, and AI put the music behind them. And then you can remix if you want to, or if you don't like it, you can edit it, So I did a number of, I changed, it wasn't sounding the way I wanted, or it would sound like they would have the wrong instrument. So I started telling it what instruments I wanted and blah, blah, blah. So AI put the music behind the song. And of course, it touched up my voice a little bit, which I'm not going to complain. And then I had this song, and the first time I listened to it with my voice singing it, I cried because I realized that that was a part of myself that I had abandoned and I had let go of, and that felt sad. So it was kind of bittersweet. It's like, gosh, it's been so many years since I even played with music or writing a song. And now here I am all these years later, like, what have I not expressed, over all these years? So the song that I wrote is actually what you heard at the beginning of the episode. I'm saying that because I plan to put it there. So hopefully it ends up there. Anyways, otherwise that's not going to make sense. But anyways, a little clip of it at the beginning, and then you're going to hear it again at the end. I'm going to play the whole thing. And by the whole thing, it's like 59 seconds long because I just this is the podcast version. One day I might extend it. I might play with it and do more. But for right now, it's a nice short podcast song. And it is me returning to myself and parts of my creativity that have been abandoned until now. And what's interesting is that as I wrote that song and produced that song with the help of AI, I have begun to use that tool as my own form of therapy in a way. I've since written a couple more songs. It's seeming like it's about one song a week. So when I say I'm 3 weeks in, that means I'm literally 3 weeks in. I have 3 songs. and it just feels so good because whatever I'm feeling I'm able to express through music in a way that I had forgotten felt good. And it's not for performance. It's words that mean something to me. It's a melody that speaks to me. So again, part of getting beneath the performance is also letting go of what might someone else think of this? What if somebody laughs at it or makes fun of it? Also, what if somebody criticizes the fact that I used AI to make the music for me? Who fucking cares? This is something that is making me feel good, and it's helping me heal parts of me that are really, really have been hurting. And so, yeah. So I share that, which is for me a very vulnerable story because, again, it's that, oof, I'm putting a piece of myself out there that is leaving space for someone to form an opinion around. Um, but that brings me to kind of the whole topic here. The question for you, how many parts of ourselves have we done that with? Yeah. And because I'm sure as I tell this story, you're probably thinking of your own parts or your own pieces that have been left by the wayside. Um, me, and it can be a creative outlet like music or painting, which is something else that I've started to return to as well. Being outside, being in nature, traveling, reading novels, being soft and curious. Maybe at some point, whatever that was for you, somebody told you it wasn't productive. Maybe someone told you weren't good at it. Maybe you were never going to be a champion at it. Or for me, I was never going to be a recording artist. I was never going to, no, let me be clear. When I was young, I believed that I could. But it's not about how far you make it with that thing. It's what does it make you feel when you do it, when you engage in it. And I think what happens for many of us is somewhere along the way, we learn that we're not good enough or we're not acceptable in that space. And what's interesting is this is actually the first step in the framework that I use when I'm working with women or when I'm teaching a workshop, or the first step in my 3-step framework is return. And return is returning to ourselves, returning to authenticity, returning to patterns, truth, beliefs that have shaped us and formed us, but also becoming aware of those. But what are the beliefs that were there before somebody told us how to live and what to do and how to act? Before somebody trained our bodies and our minds, what was true for us? What was real for us? And returning to the places of ourselves that existed before performance became survival. And one of the first, when I'm teaching this framework to women, one of the first questions that I ask them, and I ask you today, and I asked myself several years ago, What was the one thing you liked to do as a child? And so take a minute and think on that, because that's a very simple question, but I bet you got an answer almost immediately. You haven't forgotten. That little child that loved to do that thing is in you. It is you. So when I asked myself that question about 2 or 3 years ago, and that's when I got back into writing. At that time, it was writing my blog. It's when I started my podcast. I liked to express. I was the little girl that was off by myself, probably, in the woods, behind a rock, in the hayfield, and I would be writing, whether it was a song or it was poetry or a story. I was writing. And so when I asked myself that question a few years ago, I was like, why am I not doing that? And that's when I started to write again. And that's when I started my podcast and started to speak and express. And now, going back to that again, now it's expanded into music, right? And so when we ask ourselves, what did I like to do as a child? That answer, whatever comes up for us, is the key to something that's probably lacking. Maybe it's existing in our current lives in a smaller form, but maybe it's not there at all. But how can we tap back into that version of ourselves? That's the truth of who we are. That's the version that existed before achievements, before expectations, religion, culture, hustle, performance, motherhood, leadership, survival, before all these things taught us who we needed to become. And so maybe that's why this podcast exists. Not because I have the answers for you, but because I'm asking the same questions that you are. Who am I beneath the performance? Who am I when nobody needs anything from me? Who am I when I let my body shine? When I let my beautiful mind, when I just let it be smart enough? I stop saying, well, I'm not smart enough. Well, I'm not a musician. Well, I'm not. What if you just let yourself be that? Who am I when success, and I don't mean success, what success means for you. I mean, when success as the version of what we've been programmed to believe it is, who am I when that version of success isn't the metric any longer? And who am I when I stop performing and I start listening, when I return? So if today's episode, if this conversation has stirred something in you, I want to leave you with the same question that I ask my clients, and that is, what did you love to do before the world told you who to be? Maybe the wild you left behind is asking to come back. Maybe she's just like songwriting came back to me. She's opening the door and she's saying, can I come in? Are you going to push her away, or are you going to welcome her back? And you can be gently, and it can be gradually, and it doesn't have to be loudly. No one has to know right away, but let her come back in. See how she feels now at this point in your life. And maybe this is the first step in returning to yourself. So that's that's what this podcast is about now. This is the direction we're going. And thank you so much for being here and listening. And here's to no more edits. No more edits in the podcast, but no more edits in life. No more fucking edits. No apologies. No no weight of edits. Love y'all. I'll be back soon. Maybe it'll be a weekly thing. I don't know. I can't put a rule on it. It's going to be whenever I feel like I have something to say and I feel like pressing record. So until then, take care. Who the hell am I beneath the borrowed lines before they taught my body how to shrink?